All right, guys, so once you've created your team, you've opened up your starter pack, that's going to be pretty much the same for everybody else. There's no way around it. What do you do next? All right, so the first thing that I want to show you guys is the tutorial objectives. So we're going to go over to objectives here. We're going to go down to tutorial, and what I want you to do is to get some free coins and a mini pack just to start things off. Is all you've got to do is go down to each one of these objectives, hit X on it. It'll show you some stuff that will teach you about each of the modes. If you are brand new to the game, I'd probably recommend reading it, but if you've played the game before, there's no need. So go down and hit X on every single one of these. You can complete all of this. You'll get a mini pack as well as some starter packs just for getting all of that done, as well as some starter points just to get all of that done. And then we'll move on to the next. All right, guys. So once you've created your starter team, that's going to be pretty much uniform across the board. What I want you guys to do is go to this main screen under HUT Central, go down to objectives, and I want you to go and click on the tutorial objective. All right. Now in here, it works a little bit different than prior years. If you are brand new to the game, you want to go ahead and go down to each one of these, hit X or A depending on the console, and if you are brand new, go ahead and read these. If you played the game before, there's really no need to. You can go ahead and just read each one of these. You're going to get 150 coins as well as some other customization items. There's also a 4 silver player pack and some other things that you can get in it, but once you've done all of this, all you've got to do is basically hit X a ton, and you'll get a mini pack as well for completing all the tutorial objectives, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So I want you to hit R1 or RB and go over to the milestones. They are going to work a little bit differently. As you notice, we'll take win online games, for example. You will receive a various amounts of packs and coins once you've completed a set amount of wins. But if you've noticed here, there is a ton of other milestones. This might be subject to change, but you'll notice that you get 5,000 coins for every single 10 wins that you win online. This is actually a really big adjustment to the game because this adds up over time and it goes down forever. So this works for every single other milestone. It is the big change to milestones this year. So there is really no end of the grind and that's it. You can just keep going, and if you play the game, just an absolute ton, you can make quite a bit of coins for this, but you want to just go ahead and take a look at all of these. They're pretty uniform. I'll show you the ones to focus on later in the video, but this is pretty much just similar to all the other prior years, but you can earn quite a bit more. It seems to be almost infinite, so that is a big plus. Before we finish with objectives, there are daily and weekly objectives for you to complete. The daily objectives, if you can complete them all in a single day, and you will see the timer up in the top right, you will receive a seasonal reward, and I'm going to show you what the seasonal rewards do in just a little bit, but these do add up. So if you are someone that plays the game every single day, log on and trying to complete them. They are pretty simple. Score 5 goals in any mode, complete 2 games in any mode, complete a HUT challenge, complete 1 set and win a game. So they add up. I mean, they're very easy to complete, but you do get a seasonal reward, especially early on. These are very important. So make sure that you log on and do your dailies. And then again, the weekly, you have all week to do. Again, you'll see the reset timer in the top right. Just make sure you get these complete because you do get a free premium pack as well as a bunch of other coins. So these do add up. All right, now I want to walk you through the sets and how they will work. Okay, this is a pretty big section of the video as I'm going to walk you through what each of these sets do and what they mean and how they complete. Okay, so the training camp sets, they are a little bit different than prior years. You actually don't receive all that much from completing these, but you will learn the ins and outs of the game. It kind of forces you to go through all aspects of the game. But basically what you want to do is just earn training camp collectibles. You'll trade them in. For this first one, you'll get a mini pack. It'll be untradeable. It's nothing big. The next one will have you trade in 2, and I'll show you how to earn these as well. You'll get a base pack, and then the last one, again, it is going to be 2 more objective or training camp collectibles as well as 2 silver items, and you will earn a free premium pack. You want to just get this done. It's not a big rush like it was in prior years because you don't earn a ton of different packs, and there is kind of a gate you've got to go through and play every single mode. So just make sure that you get this done over the next little while because it is free stuff to start your team. All right, next up is exchange sets. All right, these are pretty big in the prior games, and they do change quite a bit in NHL 23. First up, we'll go through customization items. I'm not going to lie. If you have a ton of customization items, if you're not someone who really cares about them, if you don't want a specific celly or something like that, I would always just trade them in or sell them because you are getting free stuff for them, especially when you get rewards for HUT Rush and things like that where they just throw them into packs and rewards. You want to make sure you're getting something for them. So, for example, example, this one right here, if you trade in 10 celebration items, you will get a premium pack that's untradeable, as well as another celebration choice pack. So essentially, you're working towards your next one. But you can click in on L3, and you can just hit autofill from collection if you have any. I've only got one, so make sure you're doing this as much as possible. I wouldn't hang on to these at all. I just really don't find the need. I always just scrape the ice as my celly anyways. So the same thing goes for any of the goalie masks. In all honesty, if you have tradable goalie masks, I would put them up on the market, because there is usually people that will pay a premium for a specific goalie mask if they're looking for one. I've paid $5,000 for an Ice Dog or a Sharks helmet whenever I switch out to a new goaltender because I'm stupid. So if you have some tradable goalie masks, just throw them up on the market, because you might make a couple thousand coins on them. But if they are untradeable, go ahead and throw these into the sets. Same thing with captaincy items and the jersey number exchange. Make sure that you're utilizing these as much as possible with untradables. Again, if you have tradable cards, I'd probably sell them, because the packs that you're getting are untradeable. Next up is the team item exchange, and we'll walk through all of these sets. So there is bronze, silver, and gold versions. So you can trade in a bunch of bronze logos, which are actually pretty hard to acquire. You won't see a ton of these for a mini pack. Again, I would rather sell them unless they are untradeable, because there are people like myself that would want the Ice Dogs, for example. Same thing with the silvers. You're really not going to get a lot on the market for them, so just keep that in mind with the jerseys and the logos. If you have untradeable, throw these in, but it's not like it's a great value. Base packs and mini packs are basically nothing. However, once you get to the golds, you'll actually earn some tradable packs. These are pretty key to watch. So logos in the past have been pretty tough to pull, but if you get a bunch of untradeable logos, and even if you get tradable ones, depending on how many you need, be careful and watch on the market for how much they cost, because this is a tradable premium pack, meaning that you can trade in untradeable logos for NHL teams, and you'll get a premium pack that might pull you something that you can sell on the market. So be always on the watch for these. Same with the gold jerseys. I would try and do this every single day, as much as you can for the cooldown, because again, the tradable premium pack that you're going to pull is definitely worth it. In prior years, arenas have been super rare in packs for whatever reason, but the same situation occurs. If you see them actually being able to be pulled a ton, I would throw them in if they're untradeable. If they're tradable, guys, I would try and sell all of your jerseys, your logos, all of that, because you can make some coins off of someone who is desperate to try and get their team's logo. And then last one here is the coach exchange. You can trade in any gold head coach. Again, if they're untradeable, go ahead. If they're tradable early on, especially any of the speed head coaches, go and take a look on the market, because those usually go for an absolute ton early on in the game. I'll walk you through all of the best synergies and things in a future video, but any of the ones that have +2 or +1 to speed, make sure that you watch out and you aren't trading those in, because they will go for a ton on the market. All right, next up, we've got the bronze upgrade. So this is exchanging bronze players, and you will get a 2 silver players pack. Honestly, you're not going to pull that many bronze cards. This is very rarely ever used as a set, and to be honest, bronze goaltenders, they go for a ton. Never sell or trade in, never trade in bronze goaltenders if they're tradable, because they have 3 synergies and you can throw them in your backup. They are worth a ton usually, so make sure that you're paying attention for that. Gold, bronze goalie specifically. Bronze players, yeah, you can go ahead and throw these into sets if you want. You're really not going to pull all that many, so it's really nothing you have to worry about. Once you get to the silvers, though, this is where you can exchange silver players for a 2 gold players pack. It is untradeable, but I would recommend doing this as much as possible, because if you go back and look at the objectives that we talked about earlier on in the video, there is actually an objective that you can earn by getting and trading in making sets, which will actually get you more coins. So you're working towards a lot of other things. Silver players will give you a shot at 2 more gold players, and early on in the game, they might make your team. So this is the one upgrade set that I would recommend you do, especially always use untradeable cards first, guys. So go from your collection, hit autofill, and make sure that you're only using untradables early on. That's what I would focus on. So the up top right of the corner of your card, you'll see the little circle with a line through it. That means it's untradeable. All of these are untradeable, so we'll go ahead and complete the set. I'll show you guys what it looks like, and we'll see what we can pull. From any of these screens, you can hit R2 or RT, and you can go to your unopened pack. So that's a nice little quick step from going all the way back. So we'll see what we pull. Maybe we pull an absolute banger here. Who's to say? And we've got Anton Lander. Okay, Nicholas Robertson Fantasy Hockey Game Day Tilt card. I'm going to talk about that card in a little bit, but this is actually pretty sweet to bring up. And again, this is just from trading in untradeable silver, so make sure that you are doing that pack. As you'll see with this set specifically, it's on an hour cooldown. So if you have a ton of silvers, let's say you've ripped packs and you've got a ton of silver cards, try and do this as much as possible, okay? Be wary of that cooldown because you can take advantage of it, okay? Next up, we've got the gold upgrade. All right, so this is exchange gold players for 2-player premium pack. This is a pack that is going to contain 2 gold players, and one of them are going to be 80 overall or higher. This is untradeable, so I'm not gonna lie, there is a lot of things that you can do with gold players, all right? And I'm gonna walk you through what those are in this video, but early on in the game, if you pull any non-NHL gold players, all right, non-gold NHL players, you'll be able to see what they are, and I'll explain why again in a little bit. You can go ahead and do this. I would recommend doing it in that instance, especially if they're untradeable, because you're not going to make any coins on the market. But I would stay away from this. I know there's a lot of people that'll say, man, I pulled some crazy pulls out of this. You're not seeing the hundreds of times they've done this and gotten nothing for it. There is value to gold players. Make sure you pay attention for that, okay? All right, so these are the ones that are new for NHL 23. All right, so this is a guaranteed 83 overall player set. So if you exchange 4 82 overall player items, you will get a guaranteed 83 overall player item. And it could be any. It could be a base, a primetime, a team of the week. I'll explain what those cards are as well later in the video. But this is a nice pack, but it is going to require quite a bit. 4 82 overall player items means that they're basically all NHLers, and those have a ton of value early on. When it comes to all of these sets, there's an 84 version, an 85 version. The only one I might consider is the 85, because there are only a few set 85 items at launch of the game. If you're watching this in Christmas time or later on in the year, ignore this, but at launch of the game, if you've got a few 84 overall untradeable cards that maybe won't make your team, they're not very good, maybe you have a few goaltenders, the 85 overall set, you might get base Patrick Kane, for example. So because there are fewer 85 overall cards in the pool of cards, this could be nice to go after. But the other ones, again, you're just risking a lot of value for a random gamble, okay? And I'm never one to want to recommend that, because I like the guaranteed stuff. Again, you could risk it for sure, but I just want to make that clear, okay? All right, on to our next set of sets. We've got the team building set. This comes back again. A very, very good set throughout the year, and they've expanded upon it, all right? So here is how it is going to work. You are going to see 8 team builder master players, okay? You've got Teppo Numminen, you've got Olli Jokinen, Fedor Tutin, Larry Murphy, Milan Hajduk, Keith Tkachuk, Owen Nolan, and Steve Duchesne. You've got 2 from each of the divisions. So again, Teppo Numminen from the Atlantic, Olli Jokinen from the Atlantic, and so forth. So how do you acquire these cards? Let's go with Owen Nolan. I am a Sharks fan. So what you'd see is you need to acquire all 8 of the 84 overall versions for the team building set. If you trade in Lanny McDonald, Dustin Brown, Cale Fleury, Brad May, Steve Stais, Schmidt, Morrison, McCauley, you will then get the Owen Nolan card. And you can do the same thing with all of them. So make sure that you're paying attention to what teams you are building, and I'll show you how you're going to acquire these collectibles and the one that you should go after. But just pay attention, okay? So if you want, let's say, Larry Murphy, don't go make Pacific teams, because you are going to need Metro Division teams to complete this card, okay? So I want you first pay attention for that, okay? So now let's go over to each individual team and see how we make this Owen Nolan. So first, we'll start with the Anaheim Ducks. That is going to be one of the Pacific teams that you need. You need the 84 Brad May. And you'll see here there are 25 items that you need. These have changed from last year. So you are going to need 14 74 overall and above cards from the Anaheim Ducks. These could be any of the Anaheim Ducks. They've got to be 74 overall and higher. Once you get 14 of them, you also need 580 overall and above. Again, it could be any of the 80 overall and above. Then you also need 581 overalls to complete the team. And that is going to go for pretty much every single team. So the Calgary Flames is another one that we're looking at here, and it requires the exact same. There are going to be certain teams, guys, that do not have a lot of high overall base cards at launch of the game. The Arizona Coyotes, for example. This is where you really need to pay attention, okay? because the Arizona Coyotes, because they have so few 80 overall and above cards, that means that fewer people are pulling them, but everyone wants to get them to complete these sets. If you go and take a look at their base card roster, this is the roster at launch of the game, they only have 6 players that are above 80 overall. So then you know that the cards that they pull higher are going to be way more difficult to obtain because the market supply is going to be very low for the demand, especially at launch of the game. Whereas a team like Calgary, they have a ton of 80 overall and aboves. They are going to be a lot easier to make that specific team builder card because there are many more cards that are going to be on the market. You're going to see it. There's basically 10 80 overall and aboves compared to the very few there was for the Arizona Coyotes. And this year, with the new caveat where there's got to be a few 81 overall and aboves, that means it's even less. So just be wary of that, guys. When you were going in and you were like, this is the 89 team builder card that I want to try and acquire, just remember, it's going to be, if you don't have a lot of Arizona cards in your collection already, it's going to be very expensive. Now, for the people that pre-ordered the game and they are getting the 2 team builder pack, if you pre-order the game, you got actually 2 free 84 overall team builders. Guys, make sure they are from the same division, okay? I mean, for example, I would just take the Arizona Coyotes team builder if that is an option to you guys, because it is going to be awfully tough to acquire that one specifically. So go through and find what team builder card you want, and I have a video that will walk you through which ones are the strongest in my opinion if you want some more feedback on which ones to choose. But if you are going to try and make one of these, make sure that that pre-order pack, you choose 2 from the same division, because if you split it up, then you're just wasting those resources when you could be at a much higher advantage to try and complete them. If you're someone who is going to rip packs, and I mean quite a bit of it, if you are someone that is going to spend money on this game, I do not recommend it, but there is going to be a lot of you out there that are going to. Rip all of your packs. Once you are done that, before you go ahead and do any of the sets, go through each team, and what I want you to do is choose the Buffalo Sabres. If you left click on the left thumbstick, you can autofill from collection. Go through and do that with every single team so that you know which teams you are closest to. And then honestly, what I would recommend early on in the game, unless you are someone that has spent so much money that you are going to be able to make multiple of these team builders, I would go ahead and remove any of the tradable ones and then sell those on the market. And a very nice hack that you can do once the market is out, my version of the game, there's really nothing on the market. What you could do to try and make some coins, let's say, if you go to the 81 overall Buffalo Sabres at launch of the game, and you click X on it and go to search auction house, it will sort out all of the 81 and above Buffalo Sabres, and you might be able to flip a lot of cards. If there's really none, or maybe only 1 or 2, buy them up, put them up for a little bit more, and just keep flipping it like that, because these cards are going to be very sought after early on in the game. All right, guys, next up are the X Factor sets. These are back for their 2nd year. They have changed quite a bit. All right, so the first set that you want to do early on in the game, just because of the cooldown, is the X Factor Player Choice set. So what this is going to do is you need 50 gold player items. So after you've ripped all your packs and done everything, you can go in here, autofill from collection, see how many I have. I don't have that many. And 50 of them, I would make sure that they are not 80 and above, or if you can do it, non-NHLers, guys. Again, non-NHL gold player cards. So CJ Seuss, Jake Bischoff, Callie Klang, for example, they all aren't in the NHL. The reason why this is important is those NHL gold cards are going to be needed for the team builder sets. There is not going to be enough of them for the first 2 to 3 weeks of the game for the demand of the player base that wants to make them. You can make a ton of coins that way. So don't waste thousands of coins by putting them into sets like these. Try and use non-NHLers. They usually sell for less coins as well, so that you can complete this X Factor Player Choice set. Now take notice that it is now down from a 1 of 5 choice to a 1 of 3. There's also a lot less X Factors in the game this year, so just keep that in mind. I don't want you guys to expect a 1 in 5 and get 1 in 3. Another new set added to the game, which is actually pretty strong in my opinion, is the X Factor Player Choice reroll set. So let's say you get 3 X Factor cards in the game. I'll use Igor Shesterkin, a goaltender, unfortunately, just not that strong of an option. Shea Theodore, and let's say Matthew Barzal. I wouldn't re-roll Matthew Barzal. He's a very good card, but I'm just using that as an example. Let's say you're trying to get Connor McDavid. You are on the hunt for the X Factor Connor McDavid. You're not going to use any of those. You don't have any interest in upgrading them. Go ahead and re-roll them. Do not do it if they are tradable. If you have packed a tradable X Factor card, especially at launch of the game, please sell it. Go look on the market for what it's going for and sell that. You are going to make the most amount of coins you will ever make with those cards early on in the game. But it is nice that if you pull something you don't want, you have the choice once you get 3 of them to try again. The other set that's back is the gold players to power up collectibles. So how you improve your X factors is with power up collectibles. The same thing with icons as well. They are very necessary. You can trade in 40 gold players. Again, same situation. What I would recommend, the order of cards that I would trade in: untradables, untradeable non-NHLers, and then 74 to 79 overall NHL players. 80 and above, I would try and avoid using those cards, okay? And again, the gold players to power up collectibles is usually a pretty good set to do. Again, it's going to depend on if you are investing in X factors. I haven't been a big proponent of it in NHL 22, but NHL 23, it does seem to be a little bit cheaper to upgrade X factors, which could change the game a little bit, but that's going to be up to you. Lastly, we've got the 80 plus overall players to power up collectible. You can trade in 25, 80 overall and above for a power up collectible, so it's a much cheaper way to go about it. It's 15 less cards, but they are 80 and above. Launch of the game, those are very expensive cards, guys, so be very mindful of that. I'm going to show you guys a few ways to get a lot of free power-up collectibles, so I really, unless you are super hut rich, there's really no need to use these sets. All right, moving on to the icon sets. They have changed quite considerably, so we are going to go through all of these. Power-Up Icon Player Choice Pack. So, exchange gold players for a Power-Up Icon Choice Pack, 1 of 3. This could be any 3 icons. There is an absolute ton of icons. Alright guys, next up is the Power-Up Icon sets. These have changed, so let's walk through them. First up is the Power-Up Icon Choice Pack. This is untradeable, and you can exchange 75 gold player items. Any gold players work, so 74 overall non-NHLers work, for example. You will get a 1 of 3 untradeable Icon Choice Pack. I need you guys to be aware, there is over 90 icons in this game, or variations of icons. That is a ton. The odds of you pulling something good, not great. So this is a lot of value in cards to throw into an untradeable where you might get an 82 or 83 overall power-up icon that you're just not going to use. So this set specifically, hard avoid. As you move along, there is something kind of new here. If you trade in 6 base icons, so these are the ones that have headshots, they're usually in the low 70s. Douglas Murray, for example, for my Sharks is one. For real, 60 is a ton. So I don't even know if you would come up with 60 unless you rip like $1,000 worth of packs. So again, just not nearly enough value here. There's a lot of reroll options this year, so they are allowing you to trade in any power-up icon master item to get a random rerolled one. This is a hard avoid, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. Even if they're 582 overalls, maybe that might be the only case where I would try this. Again, because there are so many power-up icons in the game, your odds are so low, and think how many times EA has really blessed you with a huge pull. So, again, this isn't something that I would try and target. Another use for those base icons, you can trade in 36 of them and get a power-up collectible. Again, I don't know how many times I've pulled these, but I don't feel like they're very common. So I would probably sell them if I could, especially because these sets are there. There might be people out there trying to buy them up for $1,000 each card and try and actually use them. But again, just not something I would probably focus on. Okay, next we have the power-up icon upgrade sets, and this is why I wouldn't even trade in any of the 82s. Okay, so if you go here, this is going to be far different from the prior years. So if you trade in 4 82 overall power-up icons, you will get a random 83 overall. So, for example, if you traded in, let's say, Ferraro, Arnick, Eddie Olachuk, Carbonneau, Ryan Smith, you can then trade those 4 in and get an 83 overall. It's random, so you don't know what it is going to be, but you can use those cards. So if you do have 4 that are untradeable, this is definitely something that I would use them towards. This also goes all the way down the line. So you can exchange 4 83 overall power-up icons. You'll get an 84, and then you can go and do 3 84 overall icons for an 85, and it keeps going. There is something about power-up icons that I want to point out to you guys, but I'll show you once we get to those style of cards in the collection. But it goes all the way up. So if you exchange 3 85s, you'll get a random 86. And this is where I would start paying attention, because once you get to the 86, 87, and then finally the 88s, there are less options available to you. And some of the 86 overall cards are very strong power-up icons. So you might have some value there. Again, depends how expensive it is for you to get the 385s. Next up is 386s. We'll go to an 87. And then finally, you can get an 88 overall Gretzky or Lemieux power-up icon choice set. It changes, however, though, because at 87 overall, there is only 3 separate players. There is 2 Gordie Howes, 2 Mark Messiers, and 1 Rocket Richard. So you need to trade in one of each. It needs to be one of the versions of Gordie Howe, one of the versions of Mark Messier, and then Rocket Richard for the Gretzky or Lemieux. And this is something that you want to chase throughout the year because Gretzky and Lemieux are always going to be among the best cards in the game. And again, I'll highlight those in just a little bit. But just pay attention to these. You're probably not going to get a ton of power-up icons throughout. This is going to be more of you pull one and it's untradeable. At least you have some value to trade them in because they are still pretty rare to pull. And on the market, they're going to be pretty expensive still. Okay, guys, then lastly, in the power-up icon set, because there are separate variations for certain cards, there are sets that you can then exchange them. So, for example, if you wanted the 1979 Edmonton Oilers Wayne Gretzky, you've got to trade in the LA Kings version, as well as any 4 Oiler alumni. They could be any of them to get the 88 Wayne Gretzky from the Edmonton Oilers, and that one is the best version, but the LA Kings version is also extremely strong. The only one that I would probably do this with, guys, is if you pulled the New York Rangers version of Wayne Gretzky, because that one's a little bit slower. And again, it emulates at that stage of their career, so it kind of makes sense, but you can get different versions. So if you pull the one that you don't want, just know that you can go ahead and through. There's one for Mario Lemieux. You can pull the 1990s Mario Lemieux. You can also pull the 2000 era Mario Lemieux. There's one for Gordie Howe and the Red Wings, as well as the Hartford Whalers, the Rangers, and Edmonton Oilers Mark Messier, Patrick Waugh, Ray Borg, and Joe Nieuwendyk. So again, just be aware that you can go ahead and exchange these if you pull the version you don't want. Next up in sets is the Hut Champs set. So back is Hut Champions. It is working a lot like it did in NHL 22. So if you go to Hut Champs, if you are going to play in that, if you are a competitive player, someone who is pretty good at the game, you definitely want to pay attention to these sets, and they operate a lot like they did in the prior years. So if you get Hut Champs collectibles, depending on how well you do in that event, and again, I'll show you all of the ins and outs of Hut Champs in just a little bit in that section of the video, but for every Hut Champs collectible, it is a 1-for-1 trade-in for the power-up collectible. That is still more than likely the best option for you. Those are usually around 20 to 30K in value, so 1-to-1 is extremely strong. But you could also choose packs, so let's say you get 5 in a week, you could do an Elite pack, you could also do a Mega Players pack. Never, listen closely. Never, and I mean ever, go out and try to get Mega Players packs. These are absolutely Mega Players packs, Mega Packs. They are total scams by EA. Those ones specifically, absolute garbage. So just completely avoid anything that says the word Mega. They are not that. But let's say you wanted 2 Jumbo Elites and an Elite Players pack, an Elite pack. You can do that, or you can save all 5 for an Ultimate Choice pack, which is the best pack in the game usually. I wouldn't really recommend throwing my collectibles into randomness, but hey, if you like to live dangerously, go ahead. That option is there for you. Now, this is at launch of the game. There will be actual Hut Champs cards that you can go and create, and subscribe to my channel so as those cards come out, I can let you know if those are worth it or not. And then lastly, we've got seasonal reward sets. They are back again. And again, as I alluded to in the daily objectives, for example, these can be acquired various ways, and there are some ways that you can get them or them in abundance early on, and again, I'll show you guys all of that throughout the video. So 80 of these seasonal rewards will get you a power-up icon choice pack. Not worth it at all. Think how long it would take, even if you logged in and got 2 a day, one for logging in and one for completing the daily objectives. You're looking at 40 days. It'll be less than that because of other things, but you're looking at about a month to get a power-up collectible choice pack. No shot is that ever going to be worth it. Now, there is one here for 60 that will allow you to trade in for the seasonal exclusive icon pack. So this month, it is an 84 overall Blake, Chelios, and Niedermeyer. This one kind of interests me, not for the actual specific cards, even though Niedermeyer is actually low-key kind of a banger option at early stages of the game. But you can also take that card, use one power-up collectible, turn it into an 85, and now you've got one of the 85s needed to turn it into an 86. So again, just something to keep in mind there. I'll let you guys know if that is an actual decent strategy or not, but this is something I'm keeping my eye on. Next, we've got 50 for an X Factor player choice pack. We'll have to wait and see what X Factor costs in terms of upgrades. Last year, they were an absolute hole for all of your coins and money. They did not return the value at all. This isn't to say I think that you should never have X Factor cards, because they are pretty fun. And some of them at the beginning of the game, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, are some of the best that you can get, but the cost becomes so expensive that they are just not worth it. So hold off on trying to get to this one. As we go along here, the 185 overall guaranteed player pack. This is 185 overall player, as well as some other cards that are in the pack. This early on has my interest the most, because it would take about 20 days if you just logged in and did the dailies, on top of the things that I'm going to show you how you can get a ton of these early on. This might be the one I try and go out, because again, at launch of the game specifically, the player pool is very small for 85 overall and above. So this is one I'm keeping my eye on. Then you've got a power-up collectible for 36. I'd avoid. You've got 35 for an 85 overall choice pack, and then it goes down all the way here. The Jumbo Elite pack at 34 is kind of worth it. These packs actually have stuff that you could pull. And again, any of the other options, unless you're really saving up, are probably not all that great. The 84 overall guaranteed pack, much like the 85 at a reduced cost. Again, I think this is kind of a decent value for this. And then again, it goes all the way down here. I would avoid all of these first few. They're just trying to get rid of your collectibles. All right, guys, now we're on to Hut Rivals, the main way to play Hockey Ultimate Team. So we are going to go through, and I'm going to teach you all the ins and outs of Hut Rivals. All right, so new this year, if you go into Hut Rivals, is the rotating game mode. So as of this video, we've got Hut Rivals Burst, which means that it is 5v5 under the normal play style, but it is only 2-minute periods down from 4. So you're playing half a game, and you can do them pretty quickly. These are going to rotate. There is 10 different ones. That's the main change for Hockey Ultimate Team in terms of rivals. You've also got divisions now. They are down from 10 to 6. So if you were in Division 10, you'll be in Division 6. That is the lowest division. This is to help matchmaking pools match you up with players that are closer to your skill level and actually get you to find a game. The higher the division you are in, the better the rewards that you will receive. Now, the main thing to focus on when it comes to Hut Rivals, one, is that it runs weekly starting at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Now, the Hut Rivals week, Now, the main thing to focus on with Hut Rivals is when it runs. So every week, Tuesday at 5 p.m., it will reset into the following week. So it runs from Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, all the way up to Tuesday of the following week at 4:59. You can play all of your games in that period to acquire points to get rewards for that week. Depending on where you finish in the division system, that determines the packs and rewards that you're going to get. I have a video that you'll be able to go and see what the best type of rewards that you should pick from, depending on how you play the game, whether you spend money, grind the game, if you're just a casual player. I have a video that will walk you through Rivals rewards, so make sure you go check that out. You will receive those rewards on Wednesdays at 5 p.m., which is also the best time to work the market, because that is when everyone receives their free packs from Rivals. And you will receive a ton of packs and cards during that time span, and they all just hit the market. It's a great time to make coins. Now, in Rivals, you will also receive Hut Champs points. You're going to need to win games in Rivals to earn points to qualify for the weekend's Hut Champions event. The lower the division you are in, the more wins you are going to need to actually get into that week's event. Speaking of Hut Champs, let's talk about Hut Champs. So if you go down here over to Hut Champions, you'll be able to compete in the game's most competitive playstyle. This is always going to be 5v5, 4-minute periods, classic, the way that you always play the game online. And here is how it's going to work. Each week, we'll have a new season. So we'll start with Hut Champs Season 1 right here. It's going to start at the time of this video on October 26th. If you've got enough Rivals points to qualify, you'll be able to use those points in the Rivals menu. You click that, and it will allow you to actually enter into that mode. It is going to run this year from Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time all the way up to Sunday at 2:59 a.m. Eastern Time. So they have expanded the amount of time that you can play Hut Champs. It's no longer just on the weekend. You've got quite a bit of time to actually compete your games for Hut Champs. Now, the rewards for Hut Champs are pretty good. So if you are a decent player, I would say even Division 3 and above, I would make sure that you are playing Champs every week, regardless of how good you do, and I'll explain why. The rewards are pretty solid. So at the top end, you're getting 2 ultimate packs, 11 Hut Champs collectibles, and I showed you what you could do with those, as well as an ultimate choice pack. Don't worry about rank 1 because, well, unless you're competing for GWC, you're probably not ever going to hit that. So now let's go down to the wins, all right? So after the top 100, if you can get to 15 wins, which is very difficult, you are an extremely good player if you can get to 15 wins, you will get a Jumbo Elite Players Pack, an Elite Pack, 6 Hut Champs collectibles, and then we get down to the 13 and 11 wins. At the time of this recording, this is one of the bigger issues that I've kind of expressed to EA, because at 11 wins, you get 5 Hut Champs collectibles. But at 13 wins, you also get 5 Hut Champs collectibles. 13 wins gets you a little bit better of a pack, but 5 Hut Champs collectibles is the main reward system because, again, I showed you what you can do with those sets. 9 wins, you'll receive 4 collectibles. 7, you'll receive 3. 5 wins, 2. 3 wins, 2. 1 win, you'll get 1. And if you get 0 wins, but you play out at least 3 to be qualified for the rewards, you'll get a player's pack for free, which is why I would recommend, just even if you're bad at the game, log in and play your few games. Even if you don't want to, quit out and get the player's pack just for that. So these are always something that you can do, because I would recommend you can save up your collectibles for a player, or you can just use them for power-up collectibles to use for your X Factors or your power-up icons. So make sure that you are trying to compete in Hut Champs. If you are someone who is not very good at the game, you're just starting out, this is something I'd probably avoid. Take advantage of this time period from Wednesday to Sunday. Play Rivals, because the top-end players are playing Hut Champs, so you can probably usually have a little bit easier of a time in Rivals. Now, for whatever reason, to actually acquire your rewards, people, they don't show you where to do that if you haven't done it before. So if you go to Hut Champs, I'll show you real quick. Hold down L2 on this next screen and go to completed seasons. You will see it, and there'll be a little star beside each of the ones that you still have rewards. You can hit view season and you will get your rewards. Again, these rewards come out on Wednesday at midnight Eastern time. So Wednesday is a huge day for packs. All right, let's talk about offline players. We'll do squad battles, the main offline mode. Squad battles is a great way to earn points. If you are an online player, it is going to be like watching paint dry. But if you can stomach all of the offline games that are required in a week to earn some of the best rewards, you are going to have a huge advantage, because Squad Battles offers some of the best rewards in the entire game. So let's go ahead and take a look at Squad Battles. I was messing around, so I've got a few games on the docket here. 36 games total that you can play in a week. Squad Battles runs 5 p.m. on Wednesday Eastern time to 5 p.m. the following week on Wednesday at 5 p.m. The rewards will come out the following day on Thursday at 5 p.m. Those will go automatically to your inbox, so you don't have to worry about going anywhere for those. So how does Squad Battles work? It's the exact same as prior years, all right? So you've got 4 games here. You can play each one. You want to get 5 goals. Beat your opponent by 5. It doesn't matter what opponent. It doesn't matter what the score is. It could be 10-5. It could be 5-0. As long as you win by 5, you can earn max points. You also need to have 20-plus shots for the maximum score allotted. So having 19, you're not getting max points, even if you win by 5. If you get 20, you're in business. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of these teams. You can do a lot of different things, okay? You can choose the difficulty. You can choose how long the period is, all of that. Superstar is what I would recommend, unless you are someone that just loses every time that you play squad battles. On Superstar, I would recommend doing it. I have a video that will come out that will walk you through how to get maximum points in squad battles fairly easy. It's a bit of a challenge early on if you're using a starter pack team, but don't worry, I'll show you guys exactly how to get maximum points fairly easy. If you go over here to the ranking screen, you can see just an insane amount of packs, but on top of that, it's the coin reward that you can get. Let's say you don't get top 100. Let's say that you get an elite 1. This is 3% of all the players that play squad battles, so it's kind of a rotating range. 17,500 coins on top of all the packs is huge value. Elite 1, Elite 2-ish is probably where I would try and focus, okay? Top 100, unless you can get max points on every single game that you play, all 36, plus the one team of the week, and team of the week hasn't happened in my build yet. Don't worry about top 100. You'll wonder why sometimes, even if you did max out on all of your games, why you didn't get top 100. The reason is that the people that did the rerolls and got higher overall teams, they were able to earn more points. It's a random, stupid system, but that's still in place. So let's say that you've done all 4 of these. You can hit square and you can refresh your opponent. You can also replay a game like this one right here. When I was messing around, I lost 3-1. I obviously did not earn nearly close to the maximum amount of points. You can go ahead and pay 500 coins and replay that game trying to get more points for it. I would recommend doing that. But even if you're someone who can't play on Superstar, play on a lower difficulty. Try and get as many done as you can so that you can earn some of these rewards because they do add up quite quickly, okay? All right, the other offline method of play is challenges. They have changed challenges a little bit this year, and I'm not gonna lie, I think they're actually worth it. So we'll start with the training camp challenges that are out at launch of the game. So remember I talked about those training camp sets back earlier in the video. How do you earn training camp collectibles? Well, if you do these challenges, you will earn a few. So as you can see here, completing this challenge will get me 175 coins for getting one of the objectives, 200 for getting two, and then training camp collectible pack will get me one of the training camp collectibles. And as you go through the rewards here, you'll see that you can earn multiple of these training camp packs. If you go down to the second set, you'll earn some more as well. This is how you complete those sets early on. No big rush because the rewards are not crazy, but something that you definitely want to pay attention to. And these do work towards the milestones, so I would try and get these done early on in the game. However, the big change to offline challenges this year is the X Factor challenges. So if you complete all of these different challenges throughout, okay, you're going to earn various amounts of coins and packs. But the X Factor one specifically at launch of the game, everyone is trying to chase for one of Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, even Austin Matthews, and they are worth chasing because if you can get them for free, that's a huge value. These cards are going to go for like 500,000 coins at minimum, so just be on the lookout. So as you go down, if you complete them all, you'll see down in the bottom right, once you complete the last X Factor challenge, you will get an X Factor player choice pack for free. It'll be untradeable, but you will get a free shot at Connor McDavid. I did the math on all of these. In-game time, it'll take you about 90 minutes. So obviously, once you include menus, and if you fail one, you're looking at about 2, maybe 2.5 hours to get all of this done. Definitely worth doing at the beginning of the game. Now, let's say you get that X Factor challenge done. You've got that X Factor card. How are you going to upgrade Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid? Well, there's power-up icon challenges now. Same scenario. When completing all of these, you will earn various amounts of coins and packs. And then once you complete the final 4th group, you will start to receive power-up collectibles, which is a huge advantage. And once you do them all, you will earn 3 power-up collectibles, which will get you on your way for whatever the higher-end master, whatever the higher-end X Factor cards that you've got chosen. This is going to give you a free option. Or let's say that you packed a Wayne Gretzky card, you can use these power-up collectibles to upgrade those. Kind of a sneaky way to utilize those free power-up collectibles that you earn by doing the challenges. Remember how I talked about you can trade in power-up icons to try and acquire Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux? Let's say you got an 86 overall Nick Lidstrom. You can use 2 of those power-up collectibles to get up to an 87 to try and trade it in. Wouldn't recommend it. Now, another crafty thing that you might be able to do, let's say you use your seasonal rewards and you got that Chris Chelios card, all right? You got the 84 overall Chris Chelios. You can use one of those power-up collectibles, get an 85. You get 2 more 85 icons. You can trade those in for an 86. You're getting closer to Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. It's a very long grind, but it is something to pay attention to. If you're not going to use a lot of the X Factors or icons, you can utilize them by trading in lower overalls, using one power-up collectible, and then trading those in. Again, I'll have a video if that is actually worth it, but just pay attention to that. Then you've got the Superstar challenges. These are a little bit more difficult. They're more pack-based. It will take you about 54 in-game minutes to complete these. So it's not very long, but these are a little bit more difficult because they are on Superstar. But you should be able to complete them. Even if you fail a couple times, it's only going to take you about an hour, maybe 2. And at the end of these, you'll get some pretty decent packs. So you'll get some NHL Players pack, you'll get a power-up collectible as well, a Jumbo Premium, a Premium pack, and 2 base packs on top of 15,000 coins. Coins early on, guys, at the launch of the game are huge. If you can do all of these challenges and end up with around 60,000 more coins, that's a huge advantage to start working the market because no one has enough coins to actually buy the cards at the value they should be. Everyone's going to be selling their cards for a lot cheaper because no one has the coins to actually buy them for the price they should be. I also mentioned earlier in the seasonal sets, there is a really easy way to acquire more seasonal collectibles so that you could actually, get some of those sets done quickly. If you go through the fall seasonal challenges, you'll see that there are a few challenges that give out a ton of seasonal collectibles. At the end here, you can get 2 at the 10th one, 2 at the 11th, and 3 at the 12th. I believe the total is 12. So on top of the dailies that you can get, 12 seasonal collectibles right out of the gate is, you know, a pretty decent advantage. All right, next up is Hut Rush. All right, so Hut Rush is back in NHL 23, and it offers one unique thing that all the other modes don't, and that is instantaneous rewards. Rivals and squad battles and Hut Champs, you've got to wait each week for those rewards to come out. The Hut Rush rewards, they come out as soon as you earn them. So every week, if we take a look here at the rewards, this one's going to run all the way until November 1st. So you've got about 3 weeks, if you're watching this at the launch of the game, to acquire all of these packs and coins and everything that is in this Hut Rush path. Now, it goes all the way to 7 million points, 7.5 million points. You can earn a lot of packs, about 60 to 70 gold players in total, and that's if you don't pull anything actually useful out of them. But you've also got a power-up collectible. There's also seasonal collectibles in here. I would definitely recommend doing some of this early on, because if you can get some of these packs, because they're instantaneous, you can actually get some more cards to actually replace some of the bronze that you have from your starter team. So if I was starting my team up right away, what I would do is probably focus on the offline challenges, and then I would go into Hut Rush before I started to take on squad battles or rivals. You want to give yourself a better advantage by having a better team. This is one of the easier ways to do it. Now, there are a few ways to kind of tackle Hut Rush and trying to get these things done quickly. If you notice, every single variation has objectives where you can earn a lot of points. So you can basically earn 1 million points by completing all of these objectives. There's really 2 methods to do this. One is play the CPU on Superstar and just slowly do it. It is obviously going to be pretty difficult. What I like to do is just go on Rookie, complete all of the objectives, and then once I've done that, play online against people and just play the game as if you're playing the game, and you'll work towards the overall objective pretty quickly. Also, same thing with the Sarah Nurse version. At this one, you draft a lineup, and you'll see the objectives. Just go to Rookie mode, complete them all, and then there you go. If you can play on Superstar, you get 3 times the points basically for anything you do, and those add up quite quickly. But if you're someone who's struggling at the game a little bit, or you just want to relax, you don't need to grind the game always, just go Rookie mode, complete these, and then just play the game. All right, still with me? All right, let's talk about the auction house. Now, my build, there's nothing in the auction house, really, because no one really has the game just yet. But I want to talk about the auction house just a little bit. I will have a full video, and all right, guys, now let's just touch on the auction house real quick. In the build I'm using right now, there's really nothing in the auction house because I have the game just a little bit early. I'm going to have a video that will walk you through a full step-by-step way to utilize the auction house. It doesn't matter your skill level or knowledge of the game as well. Every single Monday morning, I post my Market Monday video where I go through all of the best buys that I would try and focus on to make some coins or cards that I see that are going for way too cheap. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that. I'm going to leave in the auction house to pretty much just an all separate video because it is very in-depth, and this is already an extremely long video. So come back for that. I'll show you the ins and outs real quick, but basically you can post any of these. You have a trade pile, but again, I'll do a full in-depth one for you guys. Next, I just want to touch on my collection real quick. This is the easiest way to find cards. So if you go to my collection and hit event items, you're going to see all of the event items that are out for that. So the game day tilt player items, these are special types of cards that will go up in value or rating based on their in-game performances. So these ones specifically are the launch ones. These are for any of these players that make their opening night roster, like Nicholas Robertson, who I pulled. He's going to go up by +2. And all of his attributes will go up, as well as buzzing. This one's actually pretty sweet to pull at launch. I'm actually pretty excited that I pulled him in this video. So the game day tilt cards will work a little bit differently, though, but there'll be times throughout the year where there'll be like a rivalry night, and they'll have a few cards from each team, and if they score goals or do things specifically in-game, those cards will go up. And again, subscribe to the channel because I will tell you all the ins and outs of those cards when they are released. But if you are looking for a specific card, you go here. Let's go to NHL. Let's say you're looking for Nick Schmaltz. Right here. Let's find him right here. Say you wanted a Nick Schmaltz card. You can go search the auction house right here, and that'll find you all of those cards that are on the market. There's none up right now, but that's the fastest way to go and do that. If you are looking to find the specific card, that is how you do it. You can do it for all of the other leagues and everything like that. So this is just your collection. If you hit triangle in this screen, it'll show you everything that you own, which is a nice fast way because you can just go and quick sell, or if you want to auction something right from this screen, this is where you would do it. So my collection is where you'd go ahead and do that. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Now let's talk about X Factor cards and different types of player items. All right, so right here we've got Shea Theodore. Everyone's going to get a free X Factor in their starter pack, it looks like. and you will see a tier list. This one starts at 74, and there is a cost to go up to each one. So for this one, if I wanted to spend 500 coins, he would go up to tier 2, and so on. And you will unlock different things like customizable synergies as well. You'll see down below his attributes will go up. When it goes to the player art tier, so basically if you see your tier 4 to tier 5, it's going to require the base card of that card or a set amount of coins. Be aware of this, because once we find out the X factors that everyone wants, if you get a base version of that card, don't sell it or turn it into a set. If you pull an Austin Matthews base card, good lord, that is one of the most expensive cards in the game, because no matter what, it's held up by the fact that Austin Matthews, for example, his card is so expensive to upgrade to that tier that his base card will always be very, very expensive. So if you look here, it's 100,000 coins or Austin Matthews base card. It's going to always go for like 90K. It'll go for more at launch of the game, but Connor McDavid specifically, that one will go for an absolute ton. Just because his base card is actually usable as well. So just be careful if you pull base cards of X Factor cards. Be aware of that. Now, the other thing to be aware of is different types of cards. Prime times, for example. So primetime cards are any of the cards that come out for players that have a big night in the real NHL. So I'll use Matthew Barzal, for example. He got a prime time for a performance, for signing, I believe, his extension. So you'll see here, this card is very good. But pay attention, because if he gets an 85, now they go up by 1. So his next prime time would be an 85, all right? Pay attention to that, because if you have a Matthew Barzal X Factor card, his max right now is 84, but his next card, no matter what it is, will make his X Factor jump up to that next tier, and that is big. So make sure you're paying attention to where those cards are in terms of how far away they are from an upgrade. Another one is when they announce events. So Trevor Zegras, it was already confirmed that he is getting a Master Set player item. These are cards that come out at new events, which is usually Friday at 5 p.m. You can watch my live streams on Friday at 5 p.m. for all of the new content, twitch.tv/NoSleeves12, or if you want to subscribe, you can get all of the info immediately. So if you go here, 86 is the highest he can go right now. But once the game launches and his Master Set card drops, you're going to be able to bump this X Factor up to 88, which is pretty big. But be aware that if he earns a Prime Time or a Team of the Week card, it goes up from his lowest base card first. So it is going to be a long time before Trevor Zegras goes above 88. All right, so just be aware of that. Lastly, in terms of cards, I just want to show you the power-up icon cards. So all of them will have 1-tier upgrades. So again, you can hit R1 on the card and you will see that this costs 25,000 coins or 1 power-up collectible. Be aware of how easy it is to make power-up collectibles or how expensive they are. You rarely want to spend coins, but the one thing to pay attention to, though, is if you are going to the one thing to keep in mind is that if you go back and you break it all down, because you can go backwards, once you do this, you can go back, you'll get either half the coins that you purchased this tier with or half of the power-up collectibles. So no matter what, you'll get 1 power-up collectible back if you did this, so this is kind of safe if you wanted to make this upgrade specifically. These go up +1 every month. Speed only goes up by 0.5. So there are some icons. I have a full icon tier list for the best ones that you can get in the game, or the ones that I would recommend that you kind of go after, and the ones that you should avoid. So if you see a card that has slow speed, it goes up 0.5 every month. So be aware of that, okay? And then lastly, let's talk about just your lineup and strategies and things like that. Some basics. Again, I have videos that will walk you through all of the gameplay strats that I would recommend, and team builder strats, all of that. But just down below, guys, something to pay attention to is if you hit right on the right thumbstick, you'll see all of your synergies and how close you are and what players have them. Again, I will have a tier list for all the synergies I think you should go after, but a good rule of thumb is the ones that impact speed. So ones like buzzing, as well as, I believe, wheelman and fly the zone. So just pay attention to that. Wheelman, sorry, wingman. I'm thinking about NHL 19 or something. You can also go and check out your ability limits. So some of your X Factor cards will have abilities. So as you see here, Shea Theodore has Heat Seeker. So if I wanted to turn that on, you just click on it and it costs me 6. All of them have different varying amounts. Right now, the max amount you can have on your team is 40. Again, I have a tier list video that will go over all of the abilities that you want to use. Lastly, strategies. Again, I will have a video of all the strategies I would recommend, but here is where they are located. You can go ahead and mess around with all the ones you want, and there are some that I would recommend if you are playing squad battles as opposed to online against other people, but you can also really mess around with your power play and penalty kill. Again, I will have a video that would give you my recommendations, but this is where it'd be located. And then lastly, let's talk about the store. Let's talk about spending money in this game. I would never recommend you actually do that. I do it because, well, I have to make content for my channel. But I'm going to show you exactly how, by just playing the game, you can build a sick team. I have a No Money Spent series coming that will walk you through all of that, so make sure, again, you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But if you're going to spend money, you're dead set on it. There is a smart way to do it, and there's a bad way to do it. And I will explain how each of those work. All right, so first, at the time of this recording, there is a Jumbo Elite pack in the store. 20 items, 11 plus 80 overall items. Very, very good pack. It costs 1,000 points or 50,000 coins. Rule of thumb, never buy packs with coins. That is how you drain your bank account in this game. Never, ever, okay? 1,000 points for this pack. I want you guys to think about this. You can buy 3 of them, and then you have to wait 24 hours before you can do it again. EA Sports is saying, hey, we don't want you to buy too many of these packs. Here is the logic behind that, because once you've bought them and you still have points left over, you're going to come over here and buy the premium pack, because it's highlighted, it's the one that is cheapest, really, and you can pull some stuff in it. It is just stuff. The odds you will actually pull something, minuscule. Look at that, 86 overall player item, under 1% of a shot to do that. The Jumbo Elite pack, 12. If you are going to spend money in this game, the best time to do it is at launch of the game, because all of the cards in each of the packs will be at their highest value. Secondly, if you got pre-order points as well, the best way to do that is to buy 3 of these and then wait. Do not spend the remaining amount of points that you have. Let's say you put in $100 and you spend $40 worth of these essential packs. All you'll be left with is stuff that you can just trade in. And while people might say, but yeah, I got all this stuff you can trade in, it's not nearly close to the value you're going to do is if you wait for the next rotating pack that is in the store. Some are better than others. Again, I'll let you know. But that is what you do, because EA knows that these packs you will pull nothing. This is how they get all of your money. So make sure that you are only pulling these packs. Even these ones over here, they have a lot of stuff in them. Just avoid. The main rotating ones in this middle section is where you want to focus. Alright guys, that was a lot of talking. For anyone that stuck through it all, I appreciate it. And again, if you want to go back and watch any of it, I've got it all timestamped down below. Thank you guys again for watching. Make sure you subscribe and come check me out on Twitch. I'm live every single day. You guys have been great. I hope this helps out a lot. Let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.